Reason zombies are physically impossible. Your first action will be to secure basic necessities for day-to-day survival. Water, food, medicine, and weapons. Lots and lots of weapons. The next step will be to flee heavily populated areas because where there are people, there are souls desperate enough to do anything to stay alive. Your third phase will be to find a refuge that protects you from the wandering hordes of the undead. Legions of zombies, all scrambling to eat any humans left over from a ruined civilization. Zombies have been a fixture of folklore and creative media for hundreds of years, but they've really sprung, or lumbered, if you prefer, into the limelight in the past decade or so. There have been a number of different types of zombies theorized by writers and scientists. Some are caused by a virus that infiltrates and manipulates the human body. Others are a result of radiation exposure. Still others are a manifestation of a voodoo curse or perhaps a parasitic fungal infection. Zombies from 1968's The Night of the Living Dead were actually called ghouls, but they definitely exhibited many of the virtues of what we consider zombies. They slowly but relentlessly clawed their way toward any breathing person they could find, making up for their lack of speed with ceaseless patience and overwhelming numbers. More modern zombies, such as those from 2013's World War Z, might be a reflection of our faster-paced, internet-fueled societies. They're undead, yet they're also capable of running down slow-footed victims, and they exhibit flickers of intelligence, too. Zombies are a physical paradox. They're undead, yet they move around like they're alive. They're cold and lifeless, but somehow they crack open skulls to dig out a dessert of brains. They're rotting away but also stumbling down city streets grabbing unlucky people left and right. Luckily for you, according to our current understanding of human biology, zombies just can't happen. Humidity is hell. Ever been to Atlanta in August? The word stifling doesn't quite capture the misery of triple-digit temperatures paired with humidity levels higher than a hothouse. On the flip side, North Dakota in January is on the hellish side, too, freezing living tissue in minutes and killing just about anything crazy enough to wander outdoors unprotected. The long and short of it is that Earth's unrelenting weather would take a toll on zombies in a plethora of ways. High heat and humidity speed the deterioration of rotting flesh by providing perfect conditions for the proliferation of insects and bacteria, which decompose anything they set their enzymes to. The dry heat of a desert would suck zombies dry as husks in a matter of hours. The bone-cracking depths of winter would cause zombie bones to become more brittle and fragile than they already are. Even the slightest blow or stumble could make their skeletal systems completely collapse, perhaps even under their own weight. That's not to mention deterioration caused by ultraviolet sun rays, hurricane-force winds, sheets of rain and hail, or mountains of snow. Of course, all of this foul weather may be why so many zombies prefer the relative safety of basements, dungeons and abandoned prisons. They're kinetic catastrophes. We're all mechanical animals of sorts, our locomotion made possible by the links between muscles, tendons, skeletal elements and much more. When part of that system goes awry, we don't move much, if at all. That makes it all the more puzzling that so many modern-day zombies are perfectly capable of movement even when their flesh and bones are dangling and flopping. And yet, here are all of these zombies staggering around, sometimes with frightening speed, seemingly oblivious to the impossible physics driving forward their rotting, shredded muscles and broken bones. That's even before you consider their lack of brains. The human central nervous system controls all of our muscular activity by firing electrical signals from the brain to muscle cells, which twitch in response to the gray matter's commands. Many zombies appear to suffer from massive head wounds that would render any brain completely non-functional, making the idea of forward motion all the more implausible. Impossibly immune. Viruses, fungi, bacteria and other microscopic invaders have plagued humankind since the beginning of time, shortening our lifespans and often make our lives miserable. Yet it wasn't until the 1800s that we finally figured out that the tiniest of invaders, such as smallpox or HIV, are often the most dangerous of our biological enemies. Our immune systems, brimming with the weaponry of white blood cells, lay waste to infections and keep us alive, for at least a while. People who suffer from immune system deficiencies struggle with all sorts of problems. That is the plight of zombies, too, because they have no immune systems to speak of. With their ample fleshiness, zombies are a perfect breeding ground for untold numbers of bacteria, fungi and viruses that would make short work of their hosts, devouring them from the inside out. And seeing as how they're zombies, that's probably a good thing. Next. Metabolic meltdowns. We humans eat food so that we can convert chemical energy into the activities that keep us alive, from breathing to reproduction. It's our metabolism that maintains these processes. Metabolism is an overarching term encompassing all of the chemical reactions that happen within our bodies. In theory, zombies consume brains because they, too, require sustenance that perpetuates their ability to function. There's just one problem: zombies aren't actually alive. As members of the undead society, they lack metabolic capabilities of any kind. The nutrients that humans consume begin to break down the moment we start chewing up a slice of pizza or quiche. Our stomachs take over from there, converting those nutrients into calories that we need to stay alive. Zombies, on the other hand, have no metabolism at all. Even if they could magically summon the energy to chomp on some tasty brains, their stomachs, if they even have stomachs, couldn't provide a chemical pathway for nutrients to convert to energy, leaving the undead rather inanimate and, well, lifeless. Dog eat zombie. Hyenas, wolves, bears, coyotes, foxes and packs of vicious feral dogs. When the apocalypse strikes, you'll have just as much to fear from these predators as you do zombies. They're fast, sometimes ferocious, and when they're ravenous they become bolder and much more willing to attack healthy humans. So how would these animals react to the sight and smell of the reanimated dead, which are essentially walking bags of meat? In an ecosystem ripped apart by the chaos of a zombie invasion, hunger is sure to be a challenge not just for the remaining humans but also for their animal counterparts. And like humans, those animals will do just about anything to survive, even if it means nibbling at the festering, crawling remains of what's left of someone's loved one. Animal attacks wouldn't be limited to top-tier predators, either. Smaller animals like rats, raccoons and possums would also happily munch on undead goodies if given the opportunity, such as a legless, armless zombie sprawled in a mud pit, awaiting its final, sorrowful end. Sensory underload. Vision, hearing, touch, taste and smell are all key to our survival. Without our five senses, we'd roam this earth aimlessly and for a very short time, eating poisonous plants, slamming our heads into every door frame and undoubtedly stubbing our toes on every coffee table, too. Because zombies are perpetually disintegrating, it's difficult to understand how they'd perform any of the vital actions necessary to hunt yummy brains. As they began to rot, the soft tissue of their eyes would be among the first organs to fall apart, leaving zombies grasping blindly for anyone unlucky enough to wander into their blackened hands. Their eardrums would warp and tear and fall in tatters, as would the rest of their auditory system. Deaf and blind, zombies would then fall back on their sense of smell, which would likely be overwhelmed by the stench of their own organ meat stewing inside their gut sac. That means zombies would need to feel their way through the world. In large numbers, a few would certainly nab victims from time to time, but fully functional humans would be able to avoid these monsters in most situations. Subscribe now.